Once upon a time, far away from now, or not even far away, maybe not even away, maybe right now or maybe in the future, the story of man took place. Man was living on Earth, but instead of living in harmony with nature, he lived a careless and full life. Consequences was a word he didn't know until he felt them. And one day, man had enough, and he decided to change his life forever to death. And as he was falling, his whole life was flashing by in front of his eyes.
In the beginning, God created man, which according to the latest birth control statistics was a big mistake. And man said, "Let there be light," and there was light, and man called his light fire. And at first it was used to warm him and let him cook his food and protect him from wild animals. But man discovered fire could be used to burn down a forest, or burn down someone else's hut, or a tree house, or a witch at the stake, or soft coal or oil, which made the air turn grey and black. And this made man start to cough, and his eyes to run, and his sinews to hurt. And finally man said, "God, what are you doing to me?" And after God made the rivers, and lakes, and streams, and oceans, man dumped all the refuse from the earth into the waters, and it killed the fish, and the plants, and even the oxygen. And the waters turned muddy and brown and smelled, and no one could drink from them, or bath in them, or even sail on them. And finally man shook his fist at the heavens and said, "For God's sake, knock it off!" And man created the wheel, and this was good, because man no longer had to walk through the forest, or up and down the mountains, or to school. And then man created the engine, which turned the wheels. And man no longer had to depend on emails to pull him on the roads and paths. And man called the new creature automobile, and it changed the face of the earth. For man was forced to cut down the trees and flowers, and pour concrete on the land to accommodate the automobile, and drill into the earth and the sea to fuel it. And sometimes the ocean turned black, and the air turned brown, and as the automobile multiplied, there was less space to park it, and it was unable to move any faster than a horse. And man behind the wheel screamed, "Good God, am I ever going to get home?" And man created the plastic bag, and the tin and aluminium can, and the cellophane wrapper, and the paper plate, and the disposable bottle. And this was good, because man then could take his automobile and buy his food all in one place. And he could save that which was good to eat in the refrigerator, and throw away which had no further use. And pretty soon the earth was covered with plastic bags, and aluminium cans, and paper plates, and disposable bottles, and there was nowhere left to sit down or to walk. And man shook his head and cried, Look at all this god-awful litter. And man learned to split the atom, and then he took what he learned and he put it in a bomb to defend himself from other men. And he set off the bomb to see if it would work, and it did. And man was very pleased with himself, because he was safe from other men, and this was good. But other men learned to split the atom too, and they put it in their bombs. And so man had to make bigger bombs, and the other man had to make bigger bombs, and the explosions put radioactive material in the air, which got into man's food and water, and made that which was nourishing uneatable, and that which would quench thirst undrinkable. And again man became very frightened and said, "God help us all!" But by this time God had had it.
And he tried everything possible to teach man a lesson. So he burned the forests, and he sank the oil rigs and polluted the water, and he made the volcanoes erupt, and he created thunderstorms, and he blew the houses away, and he sent down meteors, and he shook the earth, and he flooded the land, and he blew up the nuclear power plants. And one day man had enough, and he decided that it was time to end his life. And he tried to burn himself, and he tried to drown himself, and he tried to get killed by animals, and he tried to choke himself, and he tried to crash, and he tried to get hit by a train, and he tried to hang himself, and he tried to shoot himself, and he tried to blow himself up, and he tried a lot of other things, but nothing really worked. So he took his car and drove to the highest building he knew to jump right down. Suddenly man realized that it was his fault and he had to correct it. But by this time it was already too late. And when all the hope seemed gone, and when man and the earth seemed lost, there was a wonder happening. And man was so happy, and he loved his car so much that they got a little car man. And man cared so much about his baby that he didn't notice all the problems outside. And after Carmen grew up, man did a lot of things with her, like go-karting, going to the zoo, taking her on a car ride, relaxing on the beach, doing a bungee jump, playing football, having a picnic, trying to snowboard, celebrating Christmas, or visiting a theme park. And when Carmen got even bigger and began to live her own life, man realized that the world around him was still the same. And he remembered that it was his mission to change it back. But first he decided to have a shit. Then he founded a party. But no one was interested, no one listened, and no one cared. And man was really desperate because he didn't know how to carry on. But suddenly he heard someone playing guitar and he discovered that it was Carmen. And it sounded so wonderful that man asked her if she wanted to play some music with him. And she said yes, and so man wrote a song for both of them. And they played it on the streets and everybody loved it. And soon they became famous and played on stages everywhere around the world. And all the boys fell in love with Carmen, and all the girls adored man. and everyone listened to their song and followed their message.
I keep an open door. Give me one good reason for a war that keeps raging on. We've all been here before. Now we've got to stand up once more to sing this song. Peace on earth. Peace on earth. Peace on earth. Peace on earth.
And so the other men were not odd no more, and everyone lived in peace and harmony, and even the aliens decided to make a TV show for children.
All'orizzonte dell'illusione, oltre le falde della disinformazione, lamenti stolti, vuoti impuniti, mani assordati dalla danza dei banditi, ai piedi di una memoria ingrata, sveglia le storie di una terra liberata, caduta in mare, nell'incoscienza, svenduta al banco di una bieca indifferenza. Rivolti alla moderazione, servi del vento, miti traditi, spazzati al largo dalla danza dei banditi. Ve le spiegate sopra giorni abbandonati, salvati a bordo sopra un circo di pirati, su antichi fastidi, macerie e falsi miti, ora invisibile la danza dei banditi. Ora invisibile la danza dei banditi. Ora invisibile la danza dei banditi. La mia terra, fiacca e malata, sono il bandito di un'idea dimenticata, ma un vecchio canto di idee distorte condanna il sole spalancando le sue porte. Indietro va, madre di Offria, apre i battenti di antichità, vecchie agonie, nuovi antenati, ma sotto un ponte suona un circo di pirati. Ve le spiegate sopra giorni abbandonati, salvati a bordo sopra un circo di pirati, su antichi fastidi, macerie e falsi miti, torna invisibile la danza dei banditi. Torna invisibile
one day, man had enough money to buy a new TV.